Hello, and welcome to a special update of Satisfactory. It is Tuesday, December the 6th, and Satisfactory Update 7 has just hit the early access servers. So we're going to take a look at a few of the changes. I'm going to comment on what my opinion on some of these changes are, and we'll go from there. We will start with, since we're here, the overclocking change. So overclocking has been changed in basically the exponent that is used to calculate the acceleration of the power consumption has been lowered. So what that means is that as you overclock, the rate at which overclocking affects your power consumption has been reduced, and so this no longer takes as much power to consume. I don't remember the exact number. I think it might have been 54 at 200% overclocking for a Mark II miner, but I could be wrong on that. I'm going strictly off of memory, and but that is a good change. They've lowered that. Now the rate or the change underclocking is less as well, so you don't get as much benefit of underclocking, but now you can overclock without it being quite as punitive on your power. That's going to be really good for early game builds where you're trying to balance your factories, and you put that in there. The next change we'll look at is the alien DNA capsules, which has been renamed. They are now, you've got a new thing here in the Fix-It factory called DNA points, and as you unlock each one of these things, we can see the printable coupons. The number of Fix-It coupons is going up, and each one of these, it looks like each DNA capsule is worth 1,000 points. You start out with each capsule giving you one coupon. As you go up, it requires 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 to go through, so more and more coupons are required. But that is the alien DNA capsules are going to be a good source of coupons, especially in the early game when you're trying to get things unlocked. That's actually going to be a good change and give you an alternative way of getting them. Now, speaking of that, there was a new change made to the game. There's the advanced game settings and creatures and creature hostility. Creature hostility now gives you there's three modes. There's the normal mode, which we are all familiar with, which is default. There is passive, and then there's retaliate. Now, I have to admit that I like the passive mode. I think this is a very good change to the game. For those who like the game with the combat system and the exploration aspects of the game, it's still there. They can play it in that mode. For those people like me who could care less about the combat system, I'm here to build things, that's just a distraction from what I really want to do, then that's not here. Now, I know some people were hoping to see combat modes and more difficult things in the combat things, and I do hope they add that at some point in time. I think that will add a layer to the game. I think it's a good thing, but I think that's an option. I like the ability to opt in, so that will be one good thing. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the conveyor belts and the conveyor poles that come down from the ceiling. And in fact, I think I forgot to purchase that. So let's go back over here for a second. So we will purchase the conveyor components. We'll add that to the cart. We'll buy that. So now we have the conveyor ceiling mount. So now let's go over here and try this thing out. Now, part of the things that they did here also is the context sensitive item. It will recognize what you're trying to snap to, and it will allow you to put things down with that. So if I put this here and then I take a conveyor belt and I bring this over here, you can see that it's on the floor here, and I can snap it there. As I bring it up on the wall, it puts a wall mount up on the wall. That will allow me to snap that directly to the wall. You can see it there underneath my cursor, right underneath the build hammer a little bit. I think that's great. If you go under the ceiling, it will do a ceiling component, and it'll snap to the bottom of the ceiling and allow you to have that item there. So the context menu that works with both pipes and with conveyor belts, that's a very good change. It'll just make things so much easier to manage and build things that you're actually doing. That's just a quality of life thing that it recognizes the context and does that. So what we're going to do is come in here now and put the conveyor belt. Now, when I originally built this, my idea and the concept that I wanted was to put in a hanging belt here. I ended up having to put it down on the walkway because, well, there was no option. But now you can see that I can connect in an option here, and it will connect itself up to the actual belt. Now and I may have to change my mode here of flight to make this a little easier. But there we go. and I can connect that in. Now, the stackable conveyor belt can be, the one that hangs on the ceiling is kind of the opposite of the one that goes on the floor. So I can put the ones down on the floor that I want to do there, and it will, I can stack them up just like I can stack it on the, with the floor items. So it's just the opposite, literally. I mean, exactly what it says it is the opposite of the floor stackable conveyor belt. It just goes down from the ceiling instead of up from the floor. So that's actually a good thing. We can bring this thing over here now and then connect these two up right here, and we've got things connected back up, and now we've got a hanging belt, and that was really the idea that I wanted under here to begin with. I like this change. That's going to make it so much easier to build things. There's been so many times I wanted to hang a conveyor belt from the ceiling, and it took a lot of work to do that before. I think that's a really great change. Next up, and one of the things that we're going to talk about, is the changes to the improved melee combat. So here in these in the levels of things that you can unlock, there are some new things that we can unlock. One of the things we will at tier 4 with the fix-it blueprints we can talk about, but they have moved the improved melee combat from tier 4 to tier 3. I like this change. I think this is a good change. This didn't require steel items. It always felt kind of awkward at tier 4 because tier 4 was about steel and requires steel to unlock, but the improved melee combat did not require steel to unlock it. So I think this is good. They've moved this here and what we need to do within that. Now, we're going to go ahead and unlock the fix-it blueprints right quick while we talk about them. The blueprints and the blueprint system. So the blueprint system has some limitations. You cannot actually do it's limited to 4x4x4. And so you can only do things in a very small increment. As far as how you're laying out your factory. Now, a 4x4x4 module, you can put a number of things in there, especially if you do compact builds. You will be able to put quite a few items in a 4x4 square. And so what are some of the good things about it is, well, one of the good things about it, at least in my opinion, is it will help with the, I can't tell you how many times I have put down a set of conveyor, a set of constructors or something like that, or smelters or something like that, and then put down a bunch of splitters and mergers only to turn around and find out that, oops, the orientation of them is incorrect. They're not oriented the way that I need them to be, and I have to pick them up and redo it. So that's going to be good. The blueprint system will help with that. I can build modules and then lay down the modules, and then it'll save me some error, things where I was doing things that were error prone. However, the limitation of it, 4x4, it doesn't really solve the key issue that you run into late in this game. This game, as you get late into the game, is a very tedious process to build large factories, and you have to build large factories in order to build the late game items. We can see here now, if I zoom in and zoom out on this particular factory, this is my current factory that I have. I've got a number of buildings. Some of them are fairly large, and some of these buildings have a large number of machines in them. For example, this iron factory here on the left-hand side, there are there's 96 smelters on the left-hand building, and then there's actually more than there's actually about 150 constructors in the right-hand building that are making iron products. Well, with that and what you're doing there, that's just a lot of tedium to set that up. And I'm sorry, being able to put 4 machines down at a time, or being able to even make 8 machines at a time, it doesn't really help with the tedium. The key issue with the system is that I still have to go in and connect the belts. It's not a one-click thing to build my module and snap in my next module, in that I have to go back and add in the connectors between the items in the module. It doesn't auto-connect the conveyors, the splitters or the mergers that are coming out of things. If it did that, it would be a lot more useful, but without that feature, I have to say I give give the blueprint system a D. One detractor for the system is that the scale of it is fairly small. It could definitely use to be bigger. And 4x4, it doesn't even let you do some of the late game things that you need to do at all. The second thing is there's still a lot of clicks, a lot of things that you have to do to set up some of the late game factories, and being able to do little small chunks of it, while nice, is still extremely limiting, and honestly it doesn't take away from the tedium of the late game that you run into. So like I say, while I think it is a good conceptually, it can certainly be useful unless they solve the problem of making it, be able to add the modules in a single click. I'm not going to give it a very high grade. I have to say, playing games like Dyson Sphere, where you can copy a building and it copies all of the connectors with it as long as the belt is already there, I think this game needs to learn from that and implement some of those same kind of features in order to make it faster and easier to build the large factories that are required for the late game. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. I certainly am looking forward to more gameplay in Satisfactory Update 7. If you're enjoying the videos, please hit the like button, as it helps me out, and consider subscribing to the channel to be notified when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, and take care.